Welcome to a brand new episode of the Bold Take Podcast. I'm Austin Hill. With me, as always, is Austin Waiter. And we're back. We're talking NBA Finals. And look, we're 2 games into the NBA Finals. Series is even at 1-1. And look, I think so far we've learned a lot in this series. A lot to talk about, a lot to break down. But let's start with just how you're feeling. 2 games down, 1-1 series. How does the Pacers fan feel about where the Pacers stand right now?
So I feel good and bad at the same time. It's funny when you think about it. I'm feeling good because I said it on here, I said on other shows, I said, we get out of a split with OKC in the first 2 games, that's a win. And that's exactly what happened. So we're going back to Indiana. Home court advantage is on the Pacers side. Win your home games here on out, you'll be an NBA champion. Have control. However, I'm looking at it as a good thing because we haven't even come close to playing to our potential, and it's a 1-1 series going back home. I'm also worried because we have not come close to playing to the potential of the team. The offense at points has been struggling. Obviously, 25 turnovers in game one was a big thing. But last night, the offense was just so all over the place. Like some players that had easy chances to go attack the basket were swinging around. Take the free layup. If they're going to give you points, give the layup. And instead of trying to do one, two, or three extra passes that are resulting in brick 3-pointers. Listen, I love the 3-point shot. I love it. But you got to be able to attack in the paint. That's something the Pacers didn't do in game two. So I'm feeling good knowing we have 2 games at Indiana in a row in games 3 and 4 this week. But I'm also slightly concerned unless the offense shows a lot of improvements in game three and in game four.
Yeah, I certainly can see the feelings and the thoughts behind that. But let's start in this first game. Pacers pull it out 111 to 110. But look, things are not as simple. Look, Tyrese Halliburton really talked about it in the post game after game two. Um, Talking about a lot of people are going to look at this team and they're just box score watchers. They don't know what really happened. And I think that's the case with both game one and game two. The final score and the box score do not really tell the story of this game. Even just going back and looking right now at the box score, as I say that, I mean, you look at the score by quarter. Uh, and you do the math here, and only down by about 13 points at halftime almost doesn't seem that much, especially when 9-point differential in the first half, but then only down four in the or 9-point differential in the first quarter, and then only a 4-point differential in the second quarter. But look, I'll be honest, it was looking bleak kind of at halftime. How many turnovers? 19 at half?
Somewhere around there. But I was
Um,
telling myself at halftime, I was like, for having 18, 19 turnovers in the first half of a game, I'll take only being down 13 at halftime. That was my thought.
yeah, so I was like, well, this has been the Pacers all postseason. It doesn't look great right now. The Thunder really haven't played around too much with their bigger leads. They don't really play with their food. Uh, but, let's see what happens. And in this second half, we saw what the Pacers have done all postseason on complete display. They start slow, but they finish strong, and that ends with the Halliburton buzzer beater at the end of this game. And I mean, you could see just the deflated expressions on the Oklahoma City bench from the players on the court. I mean, you look at Shea in his post-game press conference saying, I don't really think we ever let go in this game. He said, I don't think we ever lost it. I don't think we lost Halliburton on the last play. He said he took a contested mid-range shot and it went in. And that really just is the case kind of with this Pacers team. You don't feel like it's slipping away. You feel like you're up the whole time. And then all of a sudden you look up with tenths of a second left on the clock and you're down 1 point. That's been the Pacers this whole postseason. And for me, just kind of with the emotional roller coaster. I was a little bit worried for Oklahoma City that they might come out flat in this game too. Come out, play so hard, and then just like that, it's all gone, and momentum is in Indiana's hands.
Yeah, I'll just add this for game one. You people that they say are just box score watchers. Here's the difference in game one. Yeah, the Pacers had 24, 25 turnovers. The Thunder only had 11 points off those turnovers. That's the big thing. I watched the game with a Thunder fan of mine, David, who actually went to game two of the finals last night.
Awesome.
And we were both sitting there. I was just like looking at stats during the game and like late in the third quarter, I'm like, man, how did the Thunder have this many turnovers and not get back? It's the Pacers defense. That was the big thing last year was the Pacers, if they want to compete, they got to get better defensively. And that's what happened in this game. Yes, the offense did its part to get them back into it, but getting stops even after turnovers on offense kept them in the game. Meanwhile, game two, yeah, you talked about it. You wonder what's it going to be for the Thunder coming into game two. The difference, though, Chet Holmgren came ready to play from the get-go. Chet had more points in the first quarter than he had in all game one. I'm like, that's not a good sign for tonight if he's already outscored. But I mean, just as a whole from the Thunders, they got so much contributions from their guys. It's kind of like what the Pacers had in game one. Game one, all Pacers players were in double figures, I believe. This game, what? You had 20 points from Caruso off the bench. Almost called and Andrew Wiggins. Aaron Wiggins, I think, had like 18, 19 points off the bench, too. They had great production by guys go along with Shea. And also, something different is game one. I don't know if you could tell the difference. The way game one went, the Pacers basically made Shea be like, score. You want to beat us, Shea, by yourself? You can do it, but we're not going to allow the extra passes. But what helped Shea out early in game two, Chet Holmgren got going early. These guys were hitting shots early. That let Shea get into his confident rhythm and get into the rhythm he's comfortable with in games, and that's why he's been able to do what he's done. 9 of the last 10 games, over 30 points for Shea. He's been very consistent these playoffs. So that was a big difference in game two, having guys step up. And that's really the talk for both these teams, having players step up in the big games. Let's not forget, Obi Toppin had 5 3-pointers in game one.
Yeah, in game two, like you said, Oklahoma City got a lot more into their rhythm, into their groove. But even in this game, the second half was still the Pacers' ball game. Again, we talk about it. You watch the box score, you look at 123, 107. You think, man, Thunder controlled this game. And they did. But the second half, this team was outscored. They were beat in the second half. And they had more of a cushion, and they weren't beat by as much in the second half, but still outscored in the second half, outplayed in the second half. It leads to an interesting situation now as we look at these next, at least next three games, but surely we're going to get more than that. But when you look at it on paper, the Pacers didn't have to win game two. They did the hardest part of this series. That was win a game on the road. That puts the kind of the pressure on the Thunder now. The Thunder need to get a game in Indianapolis now. They didn't have to do that before. Now they've got to get one back. Now you could theoretically, not that you should, you could coast through these the next game in Oklahoma City, win all your games at home, and this series is over. But from the Thunder's perspective, hey, we're coming out and we're getting great stops. We've got to finish these games. Sure, we came out and we won, had a big win in game two. But again, started to slip away, started to power back on us. They've got to control these games. And for the Pacers, my thought is, hey, even though just got to win these home games, get this crowd into it early. Get this crowd into it and loud. You're talking about such slow starts this postseason. Feels like almost every game is a comeback for them. And look, they've been more than up to the challenge. They're here in the NBA Finals. They've had some of the most insane finishes in a postseason run I think a team's ever had. But at some point, this team has got to come out and start hot and start fast because it seems like Oklahoma City is kind of ready to weather that storm at the end of games. Maybe they're not going to be able to completely stop you, but they're starting to pad the lead enough in the first half that second half play, like we saw, didn't affect the outcome of this game.
My point that I knew coming into game two after game one, I told myself, I was like, listen, you already took one in OKC. If you get one tonight, unbelievable and incredible. If you don't get one, you get out of here with a split and you feel pretty good about it. To me, the difference though was you talked about it. They were a second half team. All I told myself the entire second quarter was get to halftime, get to halftime. Please, for the love of everything, get to halftime. And then they cut it down, I think, to like 14-13, like almost halfway through the third quarter. You think, okay, this is the run. They're starting to come back. And then OKC just answered with a flurry of points from Caruso, who I talked about, made some big defensive plays. Then they cut it down to 15 again, and then the Thunder would get it back out to 20 in the blink of an eye. So the Thunder this game, what they did better was when Indiana went on their run, they responded very well and were able to get the lead stretched back out again. I knew going into that fourth quarter that this game was pretty much toast. I'm not going to lie to you. I was solely rooting for the over, which shout out, I believe it was James Johnson who scored the last point of the game for the over. Thank you, Mr. James Johnson. I appreciate it. But there was no point. After the third quarter, I was like, okay, well, let's just get ready for game three. But let's address the obvious thing that was seen after his press conference last night. Halliburton was shown with a noticeable limp leaving the press conference. So I haven't done enough research yet to know what the injury is. I would assume, obviously it's a leg injury, obviously, maybe an ankle injury, but I don't know. But hopefully these next couple of days he gets some good rest on it and he'll be ready to go. Because if not, then you never know where these games could lead for the Pacers.
Yeah, it's always something to think about. You see the limp. But I think the biggest thing is we're going to see, obviously nothing officials come out from the Pacers team yet. And if nothing does come out, then I think the next thing is see how he plays. Sure, he might be sore, he might be beat up, but hey, sometimes that's part of it. These long postseason runs,
Yep.
you get sore, you get beat up. It's going to be about how he shows up on the court. But for me, man, it's good to get this series in Indianapolis. Like you said, get here. If you took game two, you're in business. But you kept it close. You fought hard. You've seen what you need to do. You've got the days off now. Both teams come out and game plan and get ready for it. If you're Indiana, if you're OKC, what are your game plans coming into games 3 and 4? What have you seen in these first two games that makes you want to come out? What are you going to come out and attack?
Well, for OKC, if you ask me, the thing that they did that also in part cost them game one, they switched their lineup. Had Case and Wallace start when that double big lineup really was the difference in their double big lineup in game two caused the Pacers issues. Pacers dominated them on the boards most of the game one. They had that double big lineup. So I think for Mark Dagnall and the Thunder, keep on working ways to keep this double big rotation in as best you can. Because that led to you having better success on the boards, making it tougher in the paint. That's what I fully expect them to do because it worked very well for them in game two. For the Pacers, I think it comes down to this simply for Tyrese Halliburton. Listen, I love Tyrese Halliburton. I love the game he has. But whenever he gets into the paint, I get he wants to create offense for everyone else to be passed first. But if you got a chance at the rim, be aggressive. You got to be aggressive scoring in these finals. We've seen whenever he's aggressive scoring, this Pacers team becomes even more terrifying to face off against because now you're worried about him being red hot from the field along with the great shooting of the guys surrounding him that he can find them. So I think honestly, if he can attack in the paint, that's the big thing. Get into the paint, Tyrese Halliburton and the guards, Andrew Nembhard, and create offense through there because they really couldn't do that in game two.
Yeah, yeah. And when I'm OKC, the big thing that I'm looking at coming into this game, like you said, that rebounding. We talked about it. A big issue in that conference finals for the New York Knicks, they just couldn't match Siakam and Miles Turner being on the floor at the same time. When both those guys were out there, Siakam gave him fits. He was the conference finals MVP for a reason. He had some big games. He was tough to stop, tough to limit. Um, And look, when this team's got two guys ready to rebound the ball and zip it out, that outlet pass, and get ready to run the floor, it's what made this team so great this year. You're in trouble. So anything you can do to limit and check those guys obviously needs to be done. But if I'm Indiana, I'm taking a look at the game plan for what we did in game one defensively against this team. Because look, you talk about it, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 38 points, but only 3 assists. Look, he's a great scorer. This is a guy that's going to get his buckets any way he can. He is such a handful with his size and his shot making ability and his body control to hang in there after the foul and put shots up and knock him down and give himself that extra look. It's incredible to watch. But when he cannot create, like you said, it was, hey, you beat us, Shea, you beat us. When he can't create and get all those other guys involved, it is a huge problem. Look, only 3 other guys in double figures in game two. And then you look here, or in game one, and then in game two, look at the difference. The guy's got 8 assists. You've got more guys in double figures, and just making a bigger difference, and not just in double figures. Jalen Williams knocking on 20, Caruso with 20, Aaron Wiggins knocking on 20, 15 from Chet Holmgren. So you're talking about it. It's not just scoring double digits. It's scoring. We're getting close to 20. Averaging 20 points per game is pretty darn good in the NBA. If you can get that many guys scoring 20 points, get Shea creating, it creates a problem. I get back to what you did in game one. Make Shea beat you because it showed when it's Shea versus Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese got the last laugh in game one. But when it's the Thunder in this full-on onslaught, scoring from everywhere, it was hard for the Pacers to check. So I'd look to limit Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's passing, and if that results in him scoring 38 points, I think you'd be okay with it if you win the game.
I think that's all. I think that's all very good points. That makes a lot of sense to me. The thing again, defensively, they were so spread out playing the passing lanes in game one that I mean, anyone who watched the game, the amount of step back jumpers that Andrew Nemhard and the Pacers made Shea take, every single one, I'm like, he'll make most of those. But another thing, the pick and roll defense that they were doing in that second game, once Shea got attacking, they had the pick and roll come through, and they were giving too much space to Shea at the mid range. That's his bread and butter. Every single time that they ran a pick and roll and he got to mid range, I'm like, that's too much space. He knocked it down. That's too much space. Knocks it down. And I get it. Miles Turner wants to, play the role, but also at the same time getting up. You got to be more physical defensively. Make Shea go to the rim against Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. Like you said, make those guys, make Shea try to beat you going to the rim or taking these jumpers. Do not let Aaron Wiggins get 20 points again. Don't let Alex Caruso get 20 points off the bench. Don't let Chet Holmgren score double digits in the first quarter. Make Shea have to do the load of the work from the get-go. And then these guys who maybe have not gotten up as many shots in game two as they would maybe in game three with this strategy are not as hot from three or shooting the ball in general. So I think that's a big game plan, absolutely right, for games 3 and 4 in Indiana.
Yeah, but look, we're gonna have a blast. We're gonna see what happens in this NBA Finals. Look, any predictions for Game Three? How you think it's gonna go?
I will tell you this, my prediction, though, I think it'll be an insane environment because if you've seen the environment there just for the watch parties. Like I said, this is the first time the Pacers have been in the finals since 2000. In my lifetime, this is the first time that they're in the NBA finals. So I'm expecting a raucous environment. I just want to see the Pacers come out from the jump and get off to a good start. That's the main thing. If the Pacers can get off to a good start, I think with the home energy, that's going to help them tremendously. You've seen in game threes of the Nuggets series that home crowd helped Denver be able to pull away from the Thunder. Game three, Timberwolves Thunder. I mean, need we say more? A 40-point win for the Timberwolves. So if the Pacers can get on top early for once, then they really got a really good shot to win that game and win it comfortably. Game four, might be a different story. But for right now, game three, I expect the Pacers, if they get off to a good start, to be able to handle business.
Yes, I expect the Pacers with the crowd loud and popping and just a rowdy environment. I expect them to get off to a hot start. I expect them to come out and win game three by double digits. I think they're going to come out and play. And that's no disrespect to Oklahoma City. But like you said, a little bit of a history with OKC over this playoff run. But I just think this environment's going to be different. This team knows what it's got to do. They're going to be fired up. I'm not going to say they're going to come out and win the series, but I think they're going to come out and be fired up and take this game three and take it pretty handily.
Yeah, and game four, look, it's all about adjustments. We could talk about how we think game four is going to go or game five. You could look at game one and game two and say that's not the same games that we watched in between them. So for us to talk about what we think for game three makes sense. But for us to say what we think game four and game five are going to be like, we don't know because we don't know what the next great defensive game plans are for these teams. Look, it's a chess match between these two great coaches and some really smart basketball players.
Yeah, and the big thing that I'll kind of say is with it being the NBA Finals, with you putting everything out on the line, every single game, you're looking at what you did last game and how can you improve on it. You're not, look, your scheme's gotten you so far, and you're not going to completely break away from everything you've done this year, but you're going to look to find and expose any loophole because it's win or go home. It is the NBA title on the line. Coaches are going to throw everything out there and see what sticks to try and win this series. So yeah, I think that as exciting and as much as I want to say, oh, if this works in game three, then why not would you do it in game four? Maybe that's not what you see. And surely OKC or Indiana, whoever may lose this game, they're going to see their weaknesses and they're going to look to fix those. So you may not be able to you may not have the same opportunities to exploit the same things. So I'm with you. Really hard to call game four before game three's even been played. But it's an exciting series. With so far, you got what you paid for with this exciting matchup. Two teams showing out, going at each other. It's going to be an exciting finish. But that's all we got for the NBA Finals right now. We'll be sure to catch up probably after games three and four and do another recap episode to kind of see where we're at and how we're feeling. But as of right now, I'd buckle up for a couple of crazy nights in Indianapolis, starting on Wednesday, June 11th.
Yeah, tune in. It's going to be great. And I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but they have already kind of got some stuff going on the buildings.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's on a hotel. That's on a Marriott hotel right next to it. There, I can't wait to see what it looks like. I wish I could go there. I wish I had the money to go to the NBA
Yeah,
Finals in Indianapolis, but I can't wait to see what it's going to look like for them Pacers fans, and they truly deserve it.
absolutely. Been a long time coming. They've done it and they've done it right. They built an exciting core. Man, I'm ready to see how these next couple games shake out.
Me too. But here's my one thing I want to add for you, Austin. You've heard the complaints. We've complained about it for years about no finals logos on the court, this or that, missing from the court. And then they come out and do this, pardon what I'm about to say, this sorry ass attempt at putting trophies
Yeah.
on the court. I mean, that was one of the saddest things ever. I'm like, they put them on the court, but that looks like not even like a HD graphic of a trophy. Like, what are we doing here?
Just shrink the team logo and put the Larry O'Brien trophy behind it like we did back in the good old days of basketball. What happened to having a little fun with it? That's what I don't
Mark
understand.
Jackson, what happened to the game I love?
I,
What
I
happened
mean,
here?
it's ridiculous. They can afford to pay the court keepers, the people that put these lovely atmospheres on, the people that don't get enough credit really for the things that they do. Especially you talk about some of these stadiums like the United Center that double as a hockey arena going on at the same time. But to be able to go out here and pay them a little bit of extra money, it's their finals too. Let them have some fun. Put the graphics back on the court. Get rid of these green screen graphics ads on the court because that's why we've gotten rid of all this showmanship is for a couple extra ad bucks. What does the NBA need? Xfinity. Then you don't need Xfinity's money or whoever you're putting out there. It's obviously just an example, but
Hey,
you
did you
don't
know
need.
that this NBA Finals is presented by YouTube TV? I couldn't
I
tell by
did.
the 6 graphics they have out there.
I've known since 2017 that the NBA Finals are brought to you by YouTube TV. And guess what? It's still being shown on ESPN. Not a YouTube TV exclusive. ESPN's been around since before YouTube TV. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't get it.
And the NBA, here my thing is the amount of detail they go into putting together those NBA Cup courts. Like
Yeah,
we're not even asking for that level of detail. We're asking for the trophy like you've done in the past and final stuff on each side. We're not asking for a full freaking court design. We're not asking for that.
yeah. I personally, that's one thing I do love about the NBA Cup. I love the jerseys. I wish both teams had to wear their special jerseys. I think that would make a lot
Agree.
of sense.
Agree.
Um, but I love the courts. To me, I love the aesthetic. I think going the extra mile, do the full bit. So I love that they do the full bit. They don't go halfway with this NBA Cup. They want to make it something interesting, something exciting for the fans to see, something different. So I like that. But yeah, we're not asking for that. We're not asking for all that crazy mumbo jumbo. Shrink the logo down at center court, put the Larry O'Brien behind it, and put NBA Finals here and put NBA Finals there on each side of half court. You've done it before. We have the capabilities. If anything, it should be easier now. We're 10 years removed from the last time I think I saw that. Surely the
I think
technology
so.
has evolved. If it hasn't, it's exactly as hard as it was then. So it's not any it hasn't gotten harder to do.
Yeah, it has. And again, and it goes all in with the ESPN presentation. This could be just a full rant on ESPN's presentation.
Yeah.
I'm praying, I'm hoping and praying, I haven't seen what NBA on NBC is going to look like. I'm hoping they somehow strike a deal for the finals because the one thing that I give these networks for, same with the SEC on CBS, these big networks that can do great storytelling will do great presentation compared to ESPN. They will take better care of it, I think, than ESPN would with presentation, introductions. What the frick happened to player introductions and pregame stuff on the court? I mean, that how difficult is it to show that ESPN? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just did a little search here because we're here talking about this. ESPN owns the rights to the NBA Finals until 2036, the 2035-2036 NBA Finals. Um,
I'm devastated. It's the
oh
worst
no no
news
no
I've.
no no. Sorry, they're a part of the deal. Their official NBA Finals run ends this season. This is their last year owning the finals. For the next 10 years, it will be ESPN, NBC, and Amazon all have rights. Um,
Amazon. That's interesting. That's
so
interesting. Amazon.
I don't know if they'll put it on Amazon. I don't know if they'll put it on NBC, but they're all part of this new NBA deal. It makes it sound like they'll all have a
I'm
shot.
telling you, NBC will take care of it. I think NBC would take care of it and do really well with it
Just give
if
me
they are
some
given the
round ball
opportunity.
rock and give me the inside the NBA crew. I believe they're officially now official that they're going to be borrowed for that.
For ESPN. And, that I think will help is if, and I said this on another show, if they just do it like they did with the Pat, if, like some people love the Pat McAfee show, what it was before, and they've left it alone, they should be like, you know what? We'll just switch it to Inside the NBA on ABC. Do whatever you do. Do whatever you guys been doing.
Yeah,
We're not gonna, but they're not gonna do that. That I've seen the reports that say they're not going to do anything with it, but they got to add their own little spin to it.
yeah, something I'm not gonna like. Kendrick Perkins is gonna be on there or something. Man, I hope if they put Kendrick Perkins on there, I hope Shaq and Chuck just jump him. I hate Kendrick Perkins with a passion. But I will admit this. I saw a video You see it all the time. Somebody interviewing the old players as they're broadcasting games during the finals and whatnot, or during the playoffs, and they're like, "Hey, if we got you out there for 20 minutes, what are you doing?" And most of them like, "Oh, I'm putting up 50 points." Kendrick Perkins said, "Nah, I get smoked. I'd be tired after five." You're right. You would be tired after five. You were tired after five when you played. Um, but at least he has the self. Sometimes you don't have the self awareness, but at least there he has a self awareness. I'm not cut out for this. I don't know that he ever was, to be frank.
I mean, you think the only time I ever saw him and thought, wow, he's being really helpful for a franchise was like super early when he played for the Celtics, like in 2008, 2009, 2010. Anytime after that, I just look at it and go, I think you're more of you're hindering more than you're actually helping.
Well, that's also because when he played for the Celtics, he was playing to his value. He was not better with the Celtics. He just wasn't as expensive.
Mm-hmm.
He was a cheap player, post player. He got rebounds, he set screens, but you can't be making tens of millions of dollars to set screens and get rebounds. You got to do a little bit more than that. And when you can't contribute, and then the most notable thing you're known for after winning an NBA championship is being the reason a young core that should have taken over the NBA had to be broken up.
Yep.
I don't know. That's not a legacy I would particularly want
I
because
I personally would not want that legacy. I personally would not.
I don't want every time they bring up Austin Hill's name to be like, yeah, the future of the Oklahoma City Thunder was shattered because Austin Hill couldn't take a pay cut and all he could
Yeah.
do was run around up and down the court. Because if I was on an NBA court, I'm getting smoked. I'm not getting rebounds, setting screens. I'll give you that, Kendrick Perkins. You got me there. I'm in trouble if I'm on an NBA court. Uh,
Sharpshooter. Call him JJ Redick. He's JJ Redick. That's
I
it.
if they left me open, I might hit a three. But I think if they know that that's the only thing I can do, nobody's leaving me open.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, let's dive into this
Yeah.
next section. I think we've kind of hindered on this one
Yeah,
for too long.
we hung out on the anti ESPN rant a little bit longer than I was expecting to. It's not written in there anywhere. It was
No.
off the cuff. We just both have a particular disdain for the way ESPN is ruined. I don't know, one of the greatest sports media products of all time,
Yeah.
and in less than 10 years has thrown it all in the garbage and
Yeah.
embraced hot take media.
Mm. That sounds like a full episode that if we just wanted to, that'd be one like during the summer. Like if we just want an episode to just talk about what ESPN's done wrong in sports media, yeah, that could be a whole episode. That might be a full hour long one.
Yeah, I could stretch it. I can make it work. But let's get into our next segment here. One we kind of teased at the end of the last episode. We're going to get into that college football 26 dynasty teams. What, we're less than a month away from the
Yep.
game's release now. I've got to pre-order it soon. I'm waiting until maybe a little bit closer to time, but I like what I've
I
seen
think
so
yeah, I
far.
think a deep dive should be coming out either this week or next week involving gameplay and stuff. The way I envision it, because if you think about it, last week was Madden, the week before was college football reveal. So if they're doing it the way I think they're doing it is college football reveal, Madden reveal, gameplay deep dive for college football this week, gameplay for Madden, uh, dynasty for college football, franchise mode for Matt, just alternating each week. That would make sense to me because that could take you up until the July 7th, whenever it's available.
Yeah, so super excited for it. Both of us are. But we've got our top 10 teams to start our first dynasty with. For the people at home, maybe that weren't following us last year or maybe missed it. Last year, I started my first dynasty with the Marshall Thundering Herd. Had a good run there. But after I was cheated out of the head coaching job, after taking the Terp or not the Terps, sorry, the Thundering Herd to a national title that we lost and the head coach left, I was cheated out of the offer at the head coaching job. So I took my talents to Chapel Hill, where I won 7 national titles in a row with the North Carolina Tar Heels. And that's where I've left that dynasty. After 7 titles, you feel like you've done everything in the first
Yeah.
dynasty.
For my first one, I didn't want to do one of the new like obvious ones. Mine was, I'm sure you, I don't know if you remember, it was Sam Houston State.
Mhm.
You know, I remember when they were a power in FCS for a good amount of time, and it took so long to build that program up. I mean, I said the story last year, and I think whenever we were talking about it at some point, I got the number one recruit in the country to come to Sam Houston from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Sam Houston. I don't even know how that could have happened, but you know, eventually I made the playoff after my third year. So from my fourth year till my through my seventh year, we made the playoff. 2 of those 3 years, we made the semifinals. One of them we lost in overtime to Notre Dame, which I will still say is the maddest I've ever been
Yeah.
over a loss in college football 25. That legit broke my heart when we lost in overtime to Notre Dame. But then you won the Natty next year, and then did a three-peat, and I was like, okay, let's see what else we can do with this game. So some fun dynasties here. I'm looking forward to finding out what our first ones are going to be for this year.
Yeah, so am I. But I think we'll both kick it off this way. We both have 2 teams in this top 10 that kind of feel like shoe-ins, teams that are worth a mention. They're probably somewhere at the top of almost everybody's list. But that's Delaware and Missouri State, both making the move up to FBS this year. So obviously that's fresh blood to kind of get into with 2 teams. Going to be their first year in the FBS. Can you build this team from zeros to heroes? Can you make them national champs? Obviously, that's the big thing that piques my interest. Also, love Delaware has the whole Michigan thing going on. I think they did it first, if I remember correctly. I could be completely wrong about that. But in my book, Delaware did it first. Michigan is stealing Delaware's vibe, and they should sue.
Yeah, just sue them. Just sue them. But no, yeah, Delaware, Missouri State are on there. They're going to obviously be the go-to rebuilds of the brand new teams to FBS. Delaware's interesting just because if you look at it from a recruiting standpoint, what exactly are you going to look to do recruiting wise, keeping it local, or are you going to have to go expanding wise? If I had to choose between one of the two that I want to rebuild first, I would probably say Missouri State, just because number one, I'm pretty sure, and I haven't done my full research on Missouri State. I'm calling me a hater if I'm not. They're historically not the best program in FCS. The only time I've heard about Missouri State was when Bobby Petrino was there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I've heard anything. And also, you know, in Missouri State, there's you an in-state rivalry right there, playing the Missouri Tigers every single year. You can make that a rivalry, and I think that could be really fun for those 2 teams. But those are the 2 obvious ones.
Yeah, and I feel like as we get into these lists, I'm gonna go ahead and say it for myself. I don't know about it for you, but my list is in no particular order as we go down
Same,
the line.
same.
I just have 10 teams listed here. Like I said, after this, we're gonna give our reasoning as we go team by team, and then we're gonna trim this list down to 5 teams, and we'll give our reasoning for why, who's staying, and why, who's going. Um, but go and give me your first non-Delaware Missouri State team in this top 10.
So my very first one, you know, I've done some consideration. This is one I kind of dedicate similar to some of the others. I had to put Hawaii on here. Mainly, my main reason for obviously number one, it's Hawaii, the obvious recruiting when it comes to it, you know, different time zone. But they've confirmed, Austin, their actual stadium is going to be in the game this year.
You'll love to
So
see
that's
that.
something that's appealing to me, you know, right there with the sunset. Because they had a generic stadium in college football 25, which is not the EA's fault because they've been working on that stadium for a while. So just having the real stadium there, and I mean, it's Hawaii. You know what you're going to get with them. Plus, you think about what the Mountain West and the Pac 12 are going to be going through in a couple of years. Maybe you rise up and maybe take them to the Pac 12, you know, with these other teams. So I think Hawaii could be a really fun one. Feel free to run that offense Colt Brennan ran, you know, go crazy.
Yeah, and this is something I'll mention with my first team here, and I'll mention it with a few other teams why they're on this list. But for some of these teams, look, last year I built my own playbook, and I had a blast with the playbook that I built. I'm going to look to do a very similar thing this year. And so based on the same vibes of my playbook, I want some players that fit your scheme, obviously. And so some of these teams have guys right away that'll be instant impact. So with this team, I'm looking at another team that I think is going to be a hot pick for some people. It's the Oklahoma Sooners. Bringing in John Mateer, bringing in Jaden Ott in the backfield. Look, if you have not played a single game with Jaden Ott
Oh, you're missing
in college
out.
football 25, you're missing out. He's a hoot. He is unstoppable. And even better, what I've heard about this year is running the football is going to be even better than it was last year. And there were definitely some holes. I loved running the football, though. I run a lot of option, a lot of RPOs. And so I run the ball a lot. I've got a UCLA dynasty I'm playing right now with Jaden Knott. And he's like the perfect Swiss Army knife for everything that I like to do. So with that arsenal, this is kind of like a perfect scheme fit for me. And obviously, look, not a great first year in the SEC, looking to bounce back and establish themselves as a top dog in this SEC. So I'm happy to kind of do like a mini rebuild with the Oklahoma Sooners and put them back on the map.
Hey, don't forget quarterback too, John Mateer. If you followed the
Exactly.
Bull Take podcast this past year, you know I am a diehard John Mateer fan. So I will be playing with the Sooners solely for him more than Jay Knott. But those two together, that's a fun combo to start your dynasty with. That's very fun.
Yes.
But as far as my next one goes, there's a couple I considered for this, but I decided let's do an interesting power conference team to kind of get into this. You know, have some fun, get a power conference team there. And one that I brought into, I think is interesting. I've got the UCF Knights here. I have UCF on here for several reasons. Number one, obviously, Scott Frost back at UCF. You can feel free to keep him or be a new head coach, but look, they're kind of new to the Power Four realm. In that Big 12, a lot of things can happen. They've had a couple of very disappointing years in recent memory to go along with it. Plus, I always, whenever I do mine, I think of possibilities for rivalries that I do. So you think about it, you got UCF, you got the entire state of Florida to find them. Florida State, Florida, the first two obviously that come to mind. There's obviously Miami too. But you could create some fun rivalries out of conference when playing with UCF to go along with it and recruit in the state of Florida. That usually equals some good success if you recruit in the state of Florida.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen a lot of five-star prospects from the state of Florida in that game. So it certainly would help you carving out some prospects there. At number four for me, this one is purely a going back home, paying my respects pick. I've got the Marshall Thundering Herd on here again. But it would have some interesting wrinkles. Obviously, completely new look in Marshall because of the head coach leaving and almost the entire team transferring out. Weren't able to play their bowl game this year because of it. So it'll be a lot of new faces. So it'll be almost, it'll be nothing like the team that I played with a year ago. When you think about the two Heisman trophies for Tychon Chapman in my first 2 years. So it'll be a completely different roster, a completely different look, but the same feel for that Marshall Thundering Herd. I love the mascot, love the stadium, love the jerseys, love the colors. Hard not to love the Thundering Herd. So yeah, obviously a team that's going to be on my mind as I look to start another dynasty this coming year.
Now, let me just skip to it. Marshall's also one of mine for the exact same reason as you said. Their entire roster gutted, the coaching staff, everything's gone. It's a whole bunch of new pieces that really you don't know much about. So I think that could make it really fun to do a rebuild. And nonetheless, you get to play a rivalry with West Virginia every year. That's always really fun. The Fun Belt is always a fun conference to play in. So yeah, absolutely. All those points and more. I think Marshall would be a really fun one to do a rebuild with just because there's a lot of questions about the roster that we really won't know about.
And then to kind of play off that pick, since we're still running with it, I also have Southern Missouri on here because that would be like playing with my Marshall team from last year
Southern
because most of
Mississippi is
the
a perfect one.
rest of the team transferred to Southern Missouri or Southern Mississippi. My fault. Southern Mississippi. um, and to follow their head coach, including starting quarterback Braylon Braxton, who I had an absolute treat playing with last year. So, kind of to play off each other, the Marshall Thundering Herd and the Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles, if I'm correct, to pair those two together for a little throwback to last year's dynasty.
Absolutely. So, look, I'll just get it out of the way because I wanted to do a rebuild with them last year, but there's certain pieces from it that weren't in the game. Uh, Based on the trailer, we can all confirm it. It's going to be Virginia Tech. I
Yes.
can't tell you how excited I am to do a Virginia Tech dynasty where I'm running out to enter Sandman and hearing the crowd screaming. Plus, it's an ACC team that has fallen on hard times in recent memory.
Yeah.
I had high expectations for them last year, and they did not even come close to living up to those expectations. So it's a program that kind of needs a little bit of a rebuilding too to go along with it. So, uh, absolutely, Virginia Tech is in my consideration for my first one for that reason of Enter Sandman playing. I mean, that's one of the more iconic introductions in the history of college football.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's certainly once I found out, that that was going to be in the game, it was hard for me not to get excited. Really seeing the extra step that they took with that really got me excited. Just to continue to get stuck on the Sun Belt, if you're not noticing a theme for me yet. At number five, I went with Arkansas State. Currently, an Arkansas State student. Thought it'd be fun. They had a fun team to build with last year. They're gonna have another fun and exciting team this year. With Jalen Rayner and Buckner, their top receiver. He's going to be exciting. Looks like he might be the best receiver in the Sun Belt. So going to be a treat with some offensive pieces to start with, and obviously trying to build in state, competing with the University of Arkansas to dominate such a small state.
Yeah. Hey, and you could maybe play as Butch Jones and
Yeah,
have him not cry on the sideline maybe this
yeah,
time.
maybe.
Uh, But my next one, this is one that I did some research and thought they would just be a fun one to consider for it. I got San Diego State here. Uh, Another team that was originally a strong program, but has fallen on hard times really since Brady Hoke retired as their coach. Number one, really no big sporting teams in San Diego, but obviously the Chargers left. They had the Padres still, obviously, but Chargers left. So really, they're the only football team truly left in San Diego. They're moving to the Pac-12, I think, within the next. I forget when they're officially all moving to the Pac-12, but you could take them with you. Plus, recruiting in the state of California with that, I think, could be really fun. And yeah, I didn't, and it was nothing against California teams for me last year. I just didn't do a lot of California teams.
Yeah.
Uh, Nothing against them. I just really didn't. And I think San Diego State could be a really fun one.
Yeah, obviously, that'd be an exciting team. I love their uniforms. I love their helmets, especially.
Yeah.
Something about the vibe of San Diego State, just a treat for me. But then looking at my next team, I went with the Utah Utes here. Look, hard not to be a fan of this team over the last few years, but last year was a bit of a sour apple at the first year in the Big 12. Cam Rising had an unfortunate final season as a Utah Ute, but things are going to be different. But one of my favorite quarterbacks to play with in last year's game, transferring back to Utah, that's Nate Johnson,
Yeah.
the perfect scheme fit quarterback for the offense that I run. His something stupid like 95 speed is absolutely ridiculous. It's everything I need. So any chance to get him on a team and in an offense running the show for me is going to be an opportunity I'm going to take, as well as a fun team, a fun culture. Really excited to look at what Utah looks like next year.
Absolutely. I'll go back with a Power Four conference team of my own. This next one, let's just say it like it is. they are without a doubt probably the worst Power Four team in the country. So you knew they were probably going to be in here. That's the Purdue Boilermakers. We know them, we love them, we love that Purdue magic. So I'm hoping I could replicate that if they were one of my dynasty teams. You know, when the number two team in the country comes to visit Purdue and I'm unranked, I'm like, we got them right where we want them. This is
Yeah.
exactly how we want it. But honestly, Barry Odom's taking over as head coach. I love Barry Odom from his time at Arkansas. He did awesome at UNLV. Plus, just something fun to go with it. Their rivals, Notre Dame and Indiana, were both in the playoff this past year, are both going to be really solid football teams. So not only are you trying to build a program up in the Big Ten, you're trying to build against some of the best teams that are your rivals in the state. So I think that's something else that could be really fun to go along with it, along with being just one of the worst teams in the game. So you will have a lot of chances to get new pieces in there and play them early.
Yeah, you take the words right out of my mouth. My next team is the Purdue Boilermakers. Everything you just said and more. It's a great environment, great rivalries, great matchups. They're in the Big Ten, one of the top two of these Power Four conferences. So it's going to be a battle and a tough grind to recruit in the area, not just with teams in your conference, but like you said, with Notre Dame, Indiana clearly turning a corner after last year. It's going to be kind of a grind, but so much room to grow. Really, only place to go is up compared to how Purdue played last year. So kind of exciting rebuild opportunity. Really, the world is yours with the Purdue Boilermakers.
Absolutely. So this next one, I was not planning to have this team, but based on my research could be wrong. I learned that this team has not had a winning record in football since 1901.
Wow.
So I felt like, and that could be wrong. You know, that could be my stats and my sources telling me wrong things. But that would be where John Calipari built legacy in basketball, the University of Massachusetts. Look, it's an obvious one. Yes, similar to Purdue, you can only go up. You could
Yeah.
go 6-6 your first year, and you're an all-time legend at UMass for what you've done. Um, Obviously, something fun. We love some action here. They're going into the MAC this year. That'll be really fun to kind of make it more fun with the conference. I get doing them with the independent last year, but I think they're going to be even worse this year. I'm pretty sure from what I've seen. So look, they're one that was a go-to in NCAA 14. I can't tell you how many times I think people have done UMass rebuilds. So why not get them in here for college football 26?
Yeah, sticking on the theme of action here, my next team is the Akron Zips. Look, this was basically kind of roll the dice with some of these teams at the bottom of the MAC. But what kind of stuck with me with Akron was they were close to the bottom. This is a fun conference, but also they were in Ohio. I really think that's the state that's the heart of this action. You've got a lot of teams based in Ohio and the MAC. So I wanted to be right in there, directly competing with teams like Miami of Ohio, really battling to kind of control the state and this region in the MAC. It's a fun conference to build in. I had a lot of fun with my MAC dynasties last year. So to build with the team, take them from the bottom back to the top here in Maction is something that's exciting and fun to do.
Wanted to confirm my research. So yes, their last winning record, it looks like actually was 1904 actually, not 1901. My bad. Um, but yeah, they quit playing football from 1906 to 2012. It looks like with this.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's how I have it. So my last team, this will be the eighth team. My last one, I was choosing between two schools that are in big cities or in states where there's been fun, but I just really was tough to choose. So the two teams I was choosing between were Temple and Houston. Houston, I think they're a sleeping giant recruiting in the state of Texas. But kind of like I did with my Sam Houston one, I think they'd be fun in that conference. But at Temple, you're playing in an NFL stadium. They have some awesome uniforms. I must just say they have awesome uniforms. So yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm going with the Temple Owls. Really don't think they've had any success besides when Matt Rule was in town. He might have been the only one, the last one to have any success. And they've got a whole new coaching staff coming in there anyway. So you're basically starting from scratch anyway, going with the Temple Owls. That'll be my eighth one, including Delaware and Missouri State.
Yes, and my final team here. I'm gonna give you a little quiz here, see if you can read my mind. This last team is not so much based on a team, but a man who was once a five-star quarterback, a man who was once highly coveted, but he's bounced around. He's found no success in college football at quarterback, but he's fun to play with. I played with him last year. He was a treat to play with. He's a guy whose glory I'd like to restore and make him a superstar once more. Um, do you know? Do you know what quarterback I've got in mind?
I, I'm trying to think here. Would this be a Power Four school?
It is not a Power Four school.
Okay, that's I didn't think it was. I just wanted to eliminate it. No, he graduated last year. My first thought was Connor Bazelak. I don't know if
No,
you
no, I don't even know who that is. So no.
he was a former Missouri quarterback that was at Bowling Green last year, I think. I'll probably know it as soon as you say it, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
I wanted to restore the life and legacy of Malachi Nelson, former
Oh,
USC quarterback, was with Boise State last year, but was the backup to Maddox Madsen. Now he's transferred to UTEP, where he's going to compete for the starting job. So I'll be going. UTEP. I won't say I'll be going, but UTEP is a team that I'm considering. They had some really cool throwback jerseys in the game last year that I really liked. I like their base jerseys. They've got a great color scheme. So a fun team. And obviously, you're competing in the heart of Texas. You got Texas recruits you can compete with down there to try and get your money. Probably not going to go super hot right away, but eventually maybe build them up and you can compete for some of those big names in the state of Texas. But yeah, UTEP, my 10th and final team if you factor in Delaware and Missouri State.
so here's my question I have for you. What's a team that you really wanted to put in this list that just barely missed the cut? I'm kind of curious.
I think besides doing one of, the teams that I cheer for every Saturday night during college football, Boise State was a team that I was very close to putting on here. Maddox Madsen is another, speaking of Boise State quarterbacks that I played with last year. I thought he was fun to play with in the game last year. He's kind of sneaky, quick, and kind of works a little bit in that option game, and he's got a good arm, which we saw last year. And I think he's going to get a little bit of props after kind of being put in the spotlight because of Ashton Genty. We kind of got to see the talent that he also has, especially even though he threw some interceptions in that college football playoff game. He did kind of have to step up and lead the team with Ashton Genty being limited by the defensive scheme. And I think he made some good plays. So I think the post Ashton Genty Boise State Broncos to kind of maintain that relevance and try and get that team back to college football playoff is something that's kind of fun and exciting. Thinking about going into a dynasty.
Plus, you get to play on the blue field. I mean, why
Yes.
wouldn't you? Um, so there was two I was considering. Obviously, I said Houston. I'll do my two. So number one is one I'm always happy for, trying to root for is Washington State. They've been gutted every single time they have a good year. Every
Yeah.
single time they have a good year, they're completely gutted. I can't even tell you what to expect from the team this year at Washington State. I really don't know. So I would say them. Plus, I already said Houston. I think could be a fun one. But can we not forget about the man, the myth, the legend, returning to West Virginia? Rich Rodriguez going back to West
Yeah.
Virginia. That could be another fun one.
Yeah, a lot of exciting opportunities. I have a soft spot for West Virginia because when we were growing up, they had a lot of the most exciting talent in the country.
My goodness,
From
bring that high scoring offense back. Let's score 70 points a game with West Virginia.
Yeah, you're talking about guys like Pat White, Tavon Austin, Geno Smith. Just a lot of excitement. A team that has kind of a nostalgic feel for me.
Absolutely for me too. But I guess we got to cut this down to our top five now, do we?
Yeah, who's the first team getting the axe on your list?
So this is a tough one. Probably if I had to eliminate one from my top five, I would probably end up eliminating I'd probably end up eliminating Marshall first. Just it's nothing really against them. I love all the teams in my top 10. This is making this really tough for me. I'd probably pick
Yeah.
Marshall at the end of the day just because they were ones I was like, well, that could be fun, but I really don't have anything I'm looking forward to more than like, I don't know what this roster is going to look like. So I don't have incredible ties to Marshall as you do from last year. So yeah, I think they're probably going to be the first one I eliminate.
Yeah, the first team that I go ahead and give the X to here, look, there's going to be plenty of time to play with the biggest brands in college football. Plenty of time to play with some of the biggest superstars in college football. Some of the more fun, maybe cheesy offenses in college football. So I'm going to take the Oklahoma Sooners off my list first. I think they're head and shoulders well above any other team that I put on this list. And I always kind of like that first dynasty to be really digging in the trenches, putting pretty much every aspect of the game, the recruiting, the playing, the schemes, every little bit of everything that you can do to the test and seeing how well I can do it all on my first crack rebuilding a franchise or rebuilding a program. So Oklahoma kind of yeah, get an easy start. You start in the SEC, you're a big brand, you're the uh big team in the state of Oklahoma, and you're right there by Texas, which you've got some appeal to. So yeah, it's that's the best team on my list, and so they're gonna be the first team off my list.
All right. So my next one I'm going to look to eliminate. Man, this is freaking tough. I tell you
Yeah.
what. Um, Probably the next one I will eliminate will probably end up being UCF, similar to kind of the point you talked about. They're in the Big 12. The Big 12 is kind of a chaotic enough conference where I feel like you could get a quick hold of it quickly. The non-conference stuff still keeps it intriguing to me, but with the other ones I have on here, I think UCF is going to be the next one where I'm going to look to eliminate. Sorry, Scott Frost. Maybe if you didn't hire Alex Grinch as your defensive coordinator, I'd be
Yeah.
more intrigued to do it right away.
Yeah, that's always
I hope Alex Grinch is in the
uh,
game just so I can fire him
yeah,
whenever I start the
just so you
franchise.
can get axed. That's a good call. I think the second team I'm going to eliminate, as fun as I think it would be, I'm going to eliminate Southern Mississippi. Look, it's the same song, different dance. I've done it before. We've seen it before. I think it'll be fun to play with and maybe go back and run one with at some point. But Southern Mississippi, you are not going to get my first dynasty. I'll always remember the times that we had Braylon Braxton in our first dynasty together, but not this year.
All right. So my next one I'm going to look to eliminate. Listen, I'm going to be doing Delaware or Missouri State, but I feel like just to mix this up, I'm going to only keep one of them. So I'm probably going to eliminate Delaware first, mainly because I'm more intrigued to play with Missouri State because I think they'll be a worse program. Plus, you have already have that automatic in-state rivalry to go along with it. So I think I'll eliminate Delaware as my next one.
To follow that trend, I was just thinking the same thing. And funny enough, it'll be the other of the two. I'm going to follow in your footsteps. I'm going to eliminate the Missouri State Grizzlies.
I think
They're some
Grizzlies, I'm
kind,
pretty sure.
it's some kind of bear. And keep Delaware on the list. Um, the first state in the union ever for the United States of America. So I think that's fun for Delaware to have going for you.
They're the
Uh,
Bears, by the way, not the Grizzlies. They're the Bears.
they're just the Bears. I thought Bears was too plain,
Yeah.
but I'm eliminating the Missouri State Bears.
All right. Okay. Now we're getting to the tough ones.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
grit. This is grit your teeth stuff.
Yes, it is. Probably the next one that I'm going to look to eliminate, mainly because I think I'll probably do a one with them down the line, but I want to keep a lot of these mid-tier teams in there for my first one. I'm probably going to eliminate not Purdue, Virginia Tech. I'm going to do an Enter Sandman rebuild with Virginia
Yeah,
Tech.
yeah.
I just that's one I know I'll probably do second or third rebuild. but I want, like you said, you want to start with the kind of a grind that shows all kind of levels of the game. So I think Virginia Tech's going to be the next one I'm going to eliminate.
On my list, look, it will be a grind. It will be fun. But I'm going to go ahead and eliminate the Marshall Thundering Herd. It's not something I love doing. But they got me first last year. I've got to share the wealth here. And I've got to give some attention to somebody else who deserves it. So then there were six. One more team has to get the axe here. And this so far is probably the toughest elimination you've done.
Yes, it is. There's a couple that I'm considering here. I will tell you, I am currently choosing. I'll just go and tell you this. Four of my five, I know I'm choosing between this. One I gotta choose. So Hawaii is a guaranteed lock in my top five. Missouri State is a lock in my top five. I'm gonna probably lean UMass in my top five, and I would probably end up saying the Temple Owls. So I'm choosing between San Diego State or Purdue. And just so I can kind of have go with one of the worst Power Four programs, I think I'll eliminate San Diego State. That's one I just personally thought of. That is one I'll probably come back to. But at the end of the day, I think I'll eliminate them to get my top five of Purdue, Hawaii, UMass, Temple, and Missouri State.
Wow. What a list. Look, I'm looking at this list and there's a lot of tempting reasons, a lot of reasons to go one way or the other. But I think my final elimination will be the Utah Utes. This is probably the next best team. They've got a good roster. They built a good team. And even though I want to play with Nate Johnson, I'm going to go ahead and axe the Utes for the first one and leave my top five at Delaware, Arkansas State, Purdue, Akron, and UTEP.
All right, so there we go. So I'm assuming the way we'll do is we got our top five. Eventually, at some point within the probably next couple of weeks, we'll get this down to our top three, and then we will have a winner. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think once we come back to talk about the NBA Finals again, we'll dwindle ourselves down to our top three. I say maybe we come with a little bit of research on each team, what we
Yep.
found, how we feel about each team, and then we'll give two more teams the X, and we'll leave us with three.
All right. I like the sound of it. Like, I like my top five. I got a bit of variety. I'm all over the place. You got Purdue, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Temple, and Missouri State. I'm like all over the place with this top five. I'm all over.
Yeah, I've got nothing out west. The furthest west we go is UTEP.
Yep. So repeat your top five. I just want to make sure I remember them all.
Delaware, Arkansas State, Purdue, Akron, and UTEP.
Interesting. Hey, Akron's a fun one. Don't forget the tire celebration that they showed in the
Yeah,
trailer. I
that's
know
true.
nothing about that. I want research on the tire celebration next
I
time we
will.
talk.
I'm
I want
gonna
to know about the
go
tire celebration.
full in to figure out every little bit about these teams.
Yeah, but man, I'll tell you what, I'm excited for it. I'm hoping we get more news this week at some point about the game. But they did the beta. Shout out to all the people who did quite literally the opposite of what you were supposed to do in the beta, which is screenshot and share every single thing about it. Now, let's remember, this is a beta. This is not even close to what the final build of the game is going to look like, everybody. But there are a lot of things that I'm really intrigued by during it.
Yeah, me too. I hope it was worth violating the NDA that you signed because they will see you in court. Um, and you'll probably never be invited to do anything like that ever again. Especially since some of the videos I saw, the person left their gamer tag blatantly in the video. Like they didn't even try to cover that
I
up.
love the ones where they try to do like the black line over
Yeah.
it and it just keeps on moving. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I've seen it 4 times. I could
Yeah.
I could pause it at any moment and figure it out. You're not smart doing that.
Yeah. Leave the gamer tag in there so they know exactly who to hunt down and find. But look, I thank you for putting it on the line. But it gave me some hope. The biggest thing I took away is in the recruiting, having your team needs just on the screen instead of having to go to open that separate useless page. really nice. I
Yes.
the first thing I do is fill out my board based on my team needs, and then if I've got spots left over, I'll go where I need to go. But I hate having to, especially during that first week of the season, clicking over 100 times. I don't want to have to memorize what I need at each position. It's nice that now it's just going to be right up there. I can see what I need, and I can attack and get what I need.
So I don't know if you ever had this glitch happen to you. Like sometimes, like it's only happened to me like 3 or 4 times whenever I've been playing. I'll go to team needs and I'll like scroll through offense, defense, and then whenever I get to special teams, it just freezes, stays on the screen for like 10 seconds, and the game just quits.
I've not had that happen, but I also almost never look at the special teams.
Yeah.
I
When it's like you're just clicking through to try to get back to the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So that's why I was and I would like press it for like once I got special teams, I'm like, why is it not working? So
yeah,
I told myself after the last one, I was like, I'm just if I need to get a kicker or punter, I'll just look at the roster. I'm not gonna
yeah.
go away from the special. So that happened to me, but I'm excited. The new scoreboard has me intrigued. I think the new scoreboard looks really nice. That is one that I think is like perfect for a college football video game.
Yeah.
Not that last year's wasn't good. I think this one just more resembles it better. But yeah, the recruiting and stuff, the dynasties, I'm just ready for it all again because I remember the anticipation last summer. Again, it feels like it even more knowing that how much better it seems that they made this game.
Yeah, a lot of care, a lot of effort. I'm excited. But look, we've kept you long enough. We'll have plenty more talk. Hopefully, like you said, we'll find out a little bit more. But talking NBA Finals, talking college football 26. This has been the Bull Take Podcast. That's Austin Waiter. I'm Austin Hill, and we want to thank you for listening.